still waiting for the left, the liberals, to get outraged about Roseanne getting fired for her free speech. And then I'm also waiting. I mean, I've been waiting a long time for the left and the Democrats, especially the Democrats on Capitol Hill, with the Twitter files that released that the Biden-Harris administration was actually using the government to pressure Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and especially Twitter to actually censor actual Americans through government pressure. But we have to move. We all have to, we can have divergent views without demonizing each other. And the problem with what Jimmy Kimmel does and what I just saw is it's just a continuation of the demonization of half of America. And well, why was that getting us anywhere?
The debate over free speech and entertainment has taken a sharp turn, and actor Rob Schneider is now calling out what he sees as a major double standard. Schneider says he is still waiting for liberals and Democrats to show the same outrage for others that they show today. He pointed to the firing of Roseanne Barr years ago, arguing that many on the left celebrated her cancellation rather than defending her right to speak. According to Schneider, the conversation about free speech often depends on who is being affected. When the consequences hit someone on the right, he claims, critics tend to stay silent. But when a figure on the left faces backlash, suddenly the issue becomes a national debate.
Can you remember a political joke that went viral, what was something really funny of his? There was no attempt in humor at all in what he said. And as a matter of fact, it was a lie. Now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix. This isn't cable. This is broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public. And to get that license, you have to be in the interest, like you said, of the public. And so that's why when there's a news van parked in the white zone, they don't get a ticket, because they are there to present news, to inform the public in the public interest. So what happens is 25% originally was supposed to be the news to inform it, just to get that license. So when you absolutely lie to the public, then you are no longer in the public interest, like Jimmy Kimmel did the other night.
Schneider's criticism was aimed directly at late-night host Jimmy Kimmel. The comedian, who has increasingly incorporated political commentary into his show, has recently suggested that free speech is under attack. But Schneider isn't convinced. He argues that Kimmel has changed dramatically from the entertainer audiences once knew. Instead of focusing primarily on humor, Schneider believes Kimmel has transitioned into a political commentator. In Schneider's view, that shift may be part of the reason why late-night television has struggled to maintain the broad audiences it once had.
So with the FCC chairman, he didn't say that he was going to pull the license. He was going to give them a warning and ask for an apology, if what I understood on the Benny Johnson show. And so that's not the government doing it. And when 246 different stations around the country say we're no longer airing this, it's because they heard from their consumers. They heard from their customers. And they said, that's it. We're not doing it. And so Nexstar, who's a great guy over there, Sean Compton, said, that's it. He's the CEO, and said, when we have complaints like this, and none of the channels, 246, because I'm sorry, it's not just LA and New York. There are people in between who have a real sense of decency, and who realize that what you had here was you had someone who wanted to have conversations and debate. And for somebody who was gunned down for that. So while I don't want to ever celebrate somebody losing their TV show.
Schneider also pointed out that broadcast television operates under different expectations than streaming platforms. Because traditional broadcast networks use public airwaves, they must meet certain standards that serve the public interest. That means hosts who present information on national television carry a responsibility to be accurate. Schneider argued that when commentary crosses the line into misinformation or speculation presented as fact, it undermines that responsibility. According to him, comedians entering political discussions should still maintain basic factual integrity.
We're wondering how bad these Epstein files are for Trump. Turns out they're invade Venezuela bad. This is literally the plot of the movie Wag the Dog. The president gets caught in scandal, so he attacks a smaller country to distract us, and here we are. distracted. On Saturday, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were captured by Delta Force at their home in Caracas and brought to New York. Trump watched the operation unfold in real time from the bunker in his basement at Mar-a-Lago. You can see there he is with Hegseth and Marco Rubio. This mission was called Operation Absolute Resolve, which is a title that was definitely generated by ChatGPT.
Another point raised during the discussion is that the backlash against Kimmel isn't coming only from politicians. Some critics say private companies and partners connected to the show are also growing uncomfortable with the direction it has taken. Late-night comedy programs once focused primarily on entertainment. But when they become heavily political, they can create controversy that spills over onto advertisers and affiliated businesses. For companies concerned about brand image, that kind of controversy can become a serious risk.
You chilled. Are you in fear for the future of comedy and free speech?
Well, Will, first of all, I woke up this morning to the incredible shock that apparently TV shows are not guaranteed in our Constitution. I mean, wow. So that was tough to swallow, first. Second, I'm still waiting for the left, the liberals, to get outraged about Roseanne getting fired for her free speech. And then I'm also waiting, I've been waiting a long time for the left and the Democrats, especially the Democrats on Capitol Hill, with the Twitter files that released that the Biden-Harris administration was actually using the government to pressure Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and especially Twitter to actually censor actual Americans through government pressure.
One moment that sparked criticism involved comments Kimmel made about a political situation involving Venezuela. On his show, Kimmel joked that a foreign operation might have been launched as a distraction from controversies surrounding the Epstein files. Critics argue that while satire is a core part of comedy, presenting speculative claims to millions of viewers can blur the line between humor and misinformation. They say there's an important difference between asking questions and presenting theories as if they are proven facts.
My response to that is it's a really good warning to comedians and other hosts and other people who do shows that if you go too far down the, conspiracy rabbit hole, or if you just get too politicized and then all of a sudden you're not, you're not in the funny business anymore. You're just in the, it's politics, and it's, it's really a propaganda through comedic imposition. They're imposing their views. And it wasn't funny, and it wasn't particularly interesting, and it's just factually incoherent, because believe me, if there was anything in those files about Trump, the Democrats had it for years.
Schneider believes this kind of commentary reflects a broader trend in modern late-night television. According to him, some hosts have moved away from traditional comedy and toward political messaging. That shift, he argues, changes the nature of the show entirely. Instead of being a space where audiences relax and laugh, the program becomes another arena for political arguments. Schneider says once a comedian moves into that territory, audiences begin judging their statements not as jokes, but as serious political claims.
Look, obviously, all that stuff should come out, but the presumption that there's stuff there, it's just how much more of this is it's people see that Russia was the only two people not involved in the Russia-Trump collusion was Russia and Trump. Everybody else seemed to be colluding. So I think the American people see through that. It's just like when you watch the news, depending if you're watching CNN, you have to go, okay, if politics is war by other means, this is war. So it's just a political warfare. So what are they not telling you? And so in this thing, it's just, it's treating your audience like they're stupid or like they're just in your own political echo chamber.
Another issue Schneider raised involves consistency in the conversation about censorship. He pointed again to the cancellation of Roseanne Barr and compared it to the current complaints about free speech. In his view, the reaction from many commentators depends largely on whether they agree with the person being criticized. Schneider argues that if free expression truly matters, the principle should apply equally regardless of political affiliation. Otherwise, the argument quickly begins to look selective and partisan.
I think he's affected by the head writer, who's his wife, who's a liberal that's
The head writer is his wife?
yeah, that's way out there.
Jimmy Kimmel's wife.
Jimmy Kimmel.
No, I know, but the head writer for what? For the
For
show?
Jimmy Kimmel show.
For the
yeah.
show
Is his wife?
Did you see the podcast where he looked like he was a hostage by her over liberal white anger and bitterness? Oh, of
I
course.
think it's obviously. Look, Jimmy Kimmel's certainly capable of being funny. I mean, I remember doing.
Really?
Yes. No, I remember doing the show. He was the MC while we did the Hugh Hefner roast 8 days after 9/11. And you know, and he was funny. He can be funny. I think when you get so emotionally vested in something, and I just think it's. I mean, I will tell you this right now. There's no way Disney's picking him up after his contract expires in April.
Critics of Kimmel also question some of the political narratives that appear in late-night comedy. For example, the discussion about the Epstein files has circulated in political commentary for years, with repeated suggestions that explosive revelations are just around the corner. Skeptical viewers argue that if clear evidence existed, it likely would have surfaced long ago. When hosts present speculation as if it were inevitable truth, critics say it risks misleading audiences and turning satire into political persuasion.
Disney doesn't want this. Disney shareholders don't want politics. They just want they want entertainment. They want, and why would you want to allow 50 automatically, you know, take, okay, there's 80 million voters that we don't want to watching our show. It's crazy. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you a direct question. He was funny after 9/11, so 24 years ago. When's the last time Jimmy Kimmel was actually funny?
Well, I will tell you, you can't really come up with like, well, that was a really good zinger. I mean, like, you know, Jay Leno, you can remember. I mean, I remember his jokes, you know, when he was on just the, hey, you know, remember when Starbucks is the, you know, Starbucks is opening up another 600 Starbucks.
The debate ultimately returns to a basic question about the role of late-night television. Critics say networks and companies behind these shows are not political organizations. They are businesses. Their survival depends on ratings, advertising revenue, and appealing to a broad audience. When a program becomes heavily partisan, it can alienate a large portion of viewers. Schneider believes that if this trend continues, networks may eventually reconsider the direction of certain shows. In the end, the controversy highlights a growing tension between comedy, politics, and the expectations of modern audiences.